Rena does this to me sometimes. And Gabriel did it last week. And that is when they do the departing blessing. There are sometimes things that they will say in that blessing that catch me and take me to a place and give me ideas and all of that. And last week, the message where things kind of ended up, and I talked about the idea of until you feel it in your bones. And it wasn't until I was getting ready to sit there, I sat down and Gabriel was doing the departing blessing. And the idea or the story of Ezekiel from the 37th chapter of the book of Ezekiel, a story that many people who have a background in the church may be familiar with, but it's the story of the valley of the dry bones. And as I was sitting there, the ideas about that story from a metaphysical standpoint started to come to me. And it was a busy week and I got away from it and it finally started to come back to me. But the idea of that story and where we are going this month when we talk about vibration, where we talk about appreciation, where we talk about gratitude, all of those things started to come together for me in this story. And if you're not familiar with the story, Ezekiel was someone that was known as the weeping prophet because he was always concerned about the people Israel. And so they he would have these visions. And he had several that we know about, the wheel in the middle of the wheel and this one with the sticks and all of that. But one of them is the one of the story with the dry bones. And Ezekiel was concerned about the people Israel. And what happened is he had a vision. And in this vision, Ezekiel saw himself being taken to a valley of dry bones. And he was set down there and he was shown the bones. And then he, in the vision, heard a voice that he called God. He heard the voice of God saying to him, Ezekiel, can these bones live? And his answer was, I don't know. You're God. You know. And so they had this conversation, and then he hears the voice tell him, prophesy to the bones, O bones, you shall live. And when I think about this story, there are elements that are in the story that point to the idea that when we wish in life to manifest, in life when we wish to have things, in life when we wish to experience and be in that place in which things flow, there are some essentials here. And when I talked about last week, until you feel it in the bones, what came to mind was how this story was saying it was stripping away everything else and starting with the bones. It was starting with the place, the beginning of creation, the beginning of manifestation starts with the bones. It starts with that. And in this case, the bones were dry. They had been there for a while. It had been as if they had been neglected and forgotten. And oftentimes, as we start thinking about things we wish to experience and have in life, sometimes we get frustrated and discouraged. And we put those things aside and feel like that all we have to do is to kind of keep on trudging on, trying to make it happen, trying to make it do what it do, all of those things, and not understanding that here lies a key to what it is that can happen. So when we feel it in the bones, and when I say until we feel it in the bones, what I'm saying is that when we talk about things happening in our lives, it's more than just paying lip service. It's more than just writing down an affirmation and saying it a few times, but it's embodying it in such a way that we feel it all the way deep down to our bones. And what happened in the vision that Ezekiel saw, he saw that it starts with the bones. And And then as he was told to prophesy to the bones, O bones, hear, O Israel, hear, you shall live. He says that the bones started to vibrate. They started to shake. There is an understanding that whatever it is that we wish to experience in life, whatever it is that we wish to have in life, those things that we talk about, well-being, great relationships, prosperity, abundance, wholeness, health, careers, businesses, whatever else it might be, that the first thing that we have to do before anything physically manifests, we have to feel it. Before it ever even shows up, the first thing is we have to feel it. So many of us are living life and we're saying, when I get these things, when this happens to me, then I will be happy, then I will feel fulfilled, then I will feel whole, and all of those things. We've got it turned around. We have to feel it before we can see it. And the thing of it is, we feel it to the point that we get a vibration going, and when we get the vibration going, things begin to happen. We become to that point of appreciation before we ever see a peep or hear a peep of something happen or seeing any kind of glint or something happen, but we already know it deep within, deep down to the bones. Because when we talk about being thankful for something, you might think, well, thankfulness and appreciation are the same things, but I differ on that. Thankfulness is based on conditions. You will hear people say, I'm thankful for my house, I'm thankful for my significant other, I'm thankful for my kids, I'm thankful for my car, I'm thankful for my clothes, I'm thankful for all of those things. And that's great, there's nothing wrong with it. But if you take some of those things away from us, guess where our thankfulness goes? Hello? But when we learn to appreciate, we learn to do it in the absence of anything physically showing up yet. And that's what happened with this vision that Ezekiel had. Before anything showed up, already things began moving in that vibration. And then the story tells us is that the bones, after they started shaking, after they started vibrating, because everything is vibrating, everything is energy, after they started vibrating, they stood up. They stood up. But they didn't have any flesh on them. But then he was told again to prophesy. And he did, and they started to cover themselves with skin and sinews and everything else to form a body. And if you think about this for a moment, we talk about manifestation all the time. I'm going to manifest this, I'm going to manifest that. People went crazy when the movie The Secret came out. I'm going to manifest a car, all of these things. Manifestation, they get caught up in that. I remember we had a group that came to Open Heart, and somebody could put an ad in the paper, come and be with the community that can give you the secrets to the secret. And I didn't know that, and we they showed up, and we had all of these people came in, where's my stuff? How did I get my stuff? But manifesting is about taking those dreams, those hopes, those aspirations, and seeing them start to form, to take form. Because the word manifest literally means man in flesh. Now, getting away from the sexist language here or that, but it's talking about incarnation, taking form. In the prologue to the Gospel of John, we hear the words, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word became flesh. So when we begin with the vibration and we hold the vibration, things start to happen. We start to see stuff. It starts to take the form of that which we are looking for, that which we are visioning for, that which we are hoping for. We start to see it right in front of us. It starts to happen. And that's what happened there. After the bones stood up, Ezekiel saw the bones begin to take shape and form, something wrapping around them. It started to come. We started to get those hints. We started to get as I like to call it, learning from our teachers, Abraham, we like to see the driftwood, meaning things start to happen, that people start coming to us about things, or we start to see things showing up in a synchronicitous way that we hadn't seen before, all kinds of things that tell us that things are starting to happen. And the thing I want to say to people, if you're at that stage in your life where things are starting to happen, stay with it. Stay with it. Because there's something else that was missing that has to happen. And that was Ezekiel noticed that while the bones stood up and they had flesh on them, they didn't have any breath in them. And then he was told again, prophesy to the four winds and tell the winds and tell the bones that there's going to be breath in you. And it tells us that the four winds, and you have to remember, we're thinking about a cosmology or a worldview back in that day that saw the earth as being flat, as being like a platform, and it had four corners to it and a dome over the top of it that had holes in it, and that's where rain came down because water was surrounded by water and would come through. So when they talk about the four winds, but I still like the idea of the four winds coming from every direction, bringing about a sense of completion, bringing about a sense of fulfillment. And so as that happened, the bones that had become flesh got breath in them. It was the breath of God. And you know what the word inspiration comes from, the Latin word inspirare, which literally means God breathed. So that when we are standing in that place, and when we are allowing ourselves to be there, we become inspired. We become God-breathed. God is breathing our ideas. God is breathing us in such a way that we begin to be able to move about and to do things. And you hear me focus on breath all the time. I say, focus on the breath, focus on the breath, focus on the breath. Because the breath gives us life. It animates us. Breath unifies us. Because all of us, no matter where we came from, each and every one of you came from different backgrounds. You look differently. You have different beliefs and ideas and everything else. But the one thing that you have in common with everybody else is that you're breathing. It doesn't care if you're Republican, Democrat, Green Party, whatever else, whether you live in North Memphis, South Memphis, the suburbs, anywhere else, all of us breathe. All of us have available that essence, that vital life force that without it, we are not living. You stop breathing, you do what? Tired. But because here we have the breath that was coming to those bones, and it was allowing Ezekiel to see that while Ezekiel had given up, how he had no hope for Israel. And I don't want to get into all of the nationalistic things that come from that story, because there's some things there to be concerned about, but that's not my concern this morning. My concern this morning is to say to you that when you begin to appreciate, because appreciate is the beginning of it all, that when you get the vibration of appreciation, and that is that when you allow yourself to be in the flow of life, and there is a flow of life that is not conditional. It does not have anything to do with conditions. I've shared this story before, that one time when I was traveling to Tuskegee, Alabama, a place that many people talk about being a mystical place and having some vibration and things there, because that's where George Washington Carver worked. And George Washington Carver said, I believe that nature is God's broadcasting system. If you just tune in to it, you will hear it, you will get it. And I was driving down one of the back roads there, and I had my radio on, my CD player back in the day was a CD player. I had it on, and I was jamming to my music, and something said, turn the music off. Turn the music off. It said, let down your window. I let down my window. I started to hear something. Stopped. I got out the car. I walked around to the other side of the car, and I looked out into the fields, and I stood there, and I heard it. I heard the trees, the vibration of the trees, the vibration of appreciation. I heard the grass, the vibration of appreciation. I heard the plants and the crops and the other things that were out there. I said, no wonder George Washington Carver found inspiration in this place. There is a vibration that is going on now that is in each and every one of you. That is a vibration of appreciation. Just not for any particular thing, but it just vibrates. It just moves. It just resonates. It just hums. It just lets you know that it's all right. It lets you know that you are connected in the universe. That vibration is there. And when we get a hold of that vibration of appreciation, we get into the divine flow. And when we get into divine flow, we start allowing things to happen. We don't make them happen. We allow them to happen because there is something that tells us that when you trust, that when you hold that intention, it's going to happen for you. It's going to be there for you. It is unfolding for you. It is making it all possible for you. That vibration of appreciation, where I'm breathing in and I'm breathing out, and I'm thankful. I move away from thankfulness because at first I'm thankful for my body, I'm thankful for my breath, I'm thankful for my clothes, I'm thankful for my friends, I'm thankful for that. But then I move beyond that, and I'm just appreciative. Appreciate. Conditions go away. I appreciate. Even if I lose all that stuff, I still appreciate what Job was being told. He's got all that stuff, but if he lost it, would he still be able to appreciate? And when you are willing in that space, you can appreciate. You get it all. You see it all. You feel it all. Let's just take a breath right here. And release this breath. And just feel it. Might not be evident right now, but just keep staying in that space of knowing that it's there. That beyond appearances, beyond anything else, you can feel it. Let it happen. Let it vibrate through you. So it is. So it is. Thank you.